Shabbat Shalom. This is a joyful and a sacred day. The most important thing we're doing today, I think this one is crackling a little. Our most important job today is we are celebrating Shabbat together, and we're celebrating Abe's bar mitzvah. That's the day. So I hesitate to mention what others have called today. And so I'm going to mention it briefly. We're going to talk about it. And mostly, what I want to do is teach about our tradition and share Torah and prepare us for Purim, which is coming up. So that's what we're going to do. Many of us have heard that white supremacists, neo-Nazis have called today, something else. They have called today a day of hate. From ancient times to the modern period to today, we Jews are tragically familiar with days like today. Even when they're not pre-designated and announced, on some level, so many of our days are days of hate. We as a people have seen days of hate. It is not the first, nor will it be the last time someone else will decide that today is a day of hatred. It's not to minimize. I don't want to minimize at all that there is any potential threat to our safety and security. We take that very seriously, and we don't take for granted all those who are working so hard to keep us safe. We are always going to respond with care and with caution. We are so lucky to have a leadership team, a security committee. We have officers out front who have planned, who are always planning and thinking and caring for us. So if you see them, thank them today and every day for what they do. And we each take responsibility for, if you see something, say something, which Abe will recognize because it was a campaign after 9/11 that was trademarked originally by the New York City subway system, the transit authority. So we do that. We do that every day, not just today. If you see something, say something. So with that caution and care, we are going to do what we said we were going to do at the beginning. We are going to live proudly as Jews in this community, celebrating Shabbat and celebrating Abe's bar mitzvah together. And in just over a week, we will celebrate the Jewish holiday, Purim. Perhaps the most serious holiday of the year. You laugh, but I really mean it. Did she just say Purim is serious? Yes, she did. We will spend the day in silly costumes, singing and dancing and maybe drinking, engaging in what might seem to onlookers like frivolous celebration. This building will be overflowing with fun and laughter and song. I know the Chazan is preparing a lot of you to sing and to participate. It will be so much fun, God willing. We will celebrate with our special Bethel flair. And, so that's true, and it is also true that Purim is very serious. Purim is how we learn ourselves, how we learn and teach ourselves, and how we teach our children what it means to be the target of hatred. And Purim is how we learn ourselves and how we teach our children how to respond to that hatred as Jews. We will read in Megillat Esther, in the book of Esther, that recounts the story of Purim about a time long ago when someone hated us and wanted to kill us. The story goes, all the king's courtiers in the palace, this is from Megillat Esther, all the courtiers in the palace knelt and bowed low to Haman, following the king's order. But Mordecai, a Jewish character in the story, Mordecai would not kneel or bow low. Then the courtiers asked, "Why do you disobey the king's order?" When they spoke to him day after day and he would not listen to them, they told Haman, in order to see whether Mordecai's resolve would prevail, for he had explained to them that he was a Jew. When Haman saw that Mordecai would not kneel or bow low to him, Haman was filled with rage. Let's pause here. It seems that at first, Haman either didn't know, or didn't care that Mordecai wasn't bowing down to him. When Haman was informed by the other courtiers, he had two potentially new pieces of information. First, Mordecai wasn't bowing low like he was supposed to. And the second piece of information is that the reason he wasn't bowing down low is because he is a Jew. Even with this new knowledge, in the story, Haman hasn't reacted yet. Only when he experiences Mordecai in real time, in real relationship, facing him, confronting him, seeing Mordecai actually refuse to bow low before him, only then does Haman react in anger and hatred. Face to face, the sight of Mordecai standing so proudly, refusing to bow low, that experience of standing facing him and Mordecai not bowing down is so incomprehensible and so unacceptable to Haman that he responds with violence, planning not only to punish Mordecai, but to kill all the Jews. This is a vicious and hateful response by Haman. When they faced each other, and when Mordecai showed himself as a Jew and his authentic self as a Jew who refused to bow down because of his religious beliefs, Haman then revealed back, Mordecai revealed himself, and Haman revealed back the extent of his wickedness, the extent of his hatred. And through the lens of that hatred, we have a midrash, a rabbinic interpretation on this moment in the story. We learn, Mar'it einehem shel reshaim, the sight of the eyes of the wicked, moridot otam legehenim, takes them down to Gehenna, a place we might compare, a place of curse, a place we might translate as a version of hell. In other words, Haman's lens of hatred is what leads to his demise at the end of the story. Not a spoiler, we know the end of the story. His inability to see Mordecai's humanity, his inability to witness Mordecai's Jewish practice. Part of it was his Jewish practice not to bow to human kings, to human officials. So Haman's inability to see that and to accept that is what leads him to go to the cursed place of Gehenna. And we have in a parallel teaching, this is still the Midrash, while the sight of the wicked takes them down, the sight of the eyes of the righteous brings light. Mar'it einehem shel tzadikim tu'ar, like or, light, brings light. Our tradition teaches us that when Haman's lens of hatred takes him low, we should instead choose the path of light. We should instead model ourselves after Mordecai. We should refuse to bow low. First Lady Michelle Obama famously said, when they go low, you know the rest of it. When they go low, we go high. So before Michelle Obama, before any of us here, any of us alive today, our rabbinic tradition taught us that when Haman goes low, we go high. When the hateful see us through the lens of Haman, we lift our eyes with the light of our ancestors and our tradition toward a more peaceful and loving future, which we build. So the parsha this week, of course, Truma, we heard Abe's beautiful teaching about building a future, a sacred future, by celebrating Shabbat and by celebrating Abe's bar mitzvah. That's how we go high. How else do we go high? We show up. We show up to comfort mourners. We show up to Minyan. We show up to, today we have a support session for those who've had a recent loss. After lunch in the chapel, we show up. We have a program ongoing now. If you see there's a bin in the lobby, we're collecting blankets and sleeping bags, which will go to the Turkish embassy to help out the relief efforts after the earthquake. We show up, we go high. We will also have another project for Good Deeds Week. We will be collecting gift cards for JCADA, for the Jewish Coalition Against Domestic Abuse. Gift cards which will go directly to survivors of abuse. We will be collecting those. And a lot more. We go high. We go high when we do what we do, when we bring in the month of Adar with extra joyfulness as we prepare for Purim. When we don't give in, when we don't elevate the bigotry in the world, but respond with our prayer and our good works and our pride in who we are. We go high. Shabbat Shalom.